Hello viewers and happy Independence Day. I'm Gerine Hoff and I'm going to take you on a quick tour through the news of the Khomas region of the last couple of weeks. But first, let's celebrate this wonderful day together.
Indeed, in June 2004, in my capacity as the head of state, I launched Namibia Vision 2030 and emphasized the need to be clear about where we are, where we wanted to go, and over what time frame. Thus, this vision is still valid and achievable in the remaining 7 years if we work hard and remain united as I believe that a people united striving to achieve a common good for all members of the society will always emerge victorious.
Right, so now we're moving on to the news. So on Monday came the disappointing news that the Supreme Court of Namibia overturned a High Court ruling which granted citizenship to the son of Guillermo Delgado and Namibian citizen Philip Lul. The couple's legal counsel, Uno Kachepuka, shared the party's dismay at this news. Irene Marie was there.
So the court set aside the High Court judgment and order and made an order that not awarding costs, not in the High Court as well as in the appeal. So essentially, this raises the question, okay, so what's now?
Sorry, just to interrupt. What is the High Court order? Can you just remind
The High Court had declared the child a Namibian citizen and had directed the Home Affairs to issue a citizenship certificate. So when we look at the judgment very quickly, it seems that the Supreme Court has gone with the argument that government made at the hearing. It wasn't provided, it wasn't contained in the notice of appeal or in the heads of argument to say, well, you should have registered the birth in terms of the section. But if you look at the section, you can either register the birth in certain circumstances, or you can apply to register the child as a citizen by descent and obtain a certificate of citizenship. So, I mean, this is unfortunate if you look at the fact that they thought the matter important enough to convene a full bench of the Supreme Court. And at the end of the day, they're running with a technical point that was not properly raised, in my opinion. It doesn't make any sense if you read the section clearly. And the entire full bench goes along with it. So essentially, on a practical level, it would mean that Philip would have to register the birth, which of course we know what Home Affairs is going to do. They're going to reject any attempt at registration, because the one thing that can be said for Home Affairs is they've been consistent in the harassment of this family. So they would have to do that, register. Home Affairs declines, you go to the High Court finds in their favor because they've done so before, you come to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would still have to determine the merits of the matter. So all they've done is push the can or kick the can down the road to live to, I don't know, consider these things another day. But in my opinion, it's very unfortunate and not the sort of thing we expect to see from our Supreme Court. This was the time to deal with the merits, and they chose not to. For a second time, they chose not to.
But what has to happen now is, do I understand it correctly, is that the birth has to be registered with Home Affairs?
Yes.
And then we would have to see what Home Affairs does with
We know what Home Affairs will do with that. We know. They've been consistent in their harassment.
In this next insert, the Home Affairs Ministry launched an online application system for passports and 6-month work visas. Speaking at the launch, Home Affairs Minister Albert Khomas said that the ministry's digital milestone will result in service efficiency and many improvements as it allows locals to apply for passports using mobile phones and tracking the process of the application by means of an SMS. The launch took place at the newly inaugurated Home Affairs building in Windhoek. Here's more.
Inform the nation as well as the general public that with effect from today, the ministry has introduced online applications for employment permits and passports, as you heard also from the ED. The work visa or short-term employment permit, which is valid for a maximum period of 6 months, and here I can maybe rest assure you, very soon we are going to extend this to more than 6 months. It's normally issued to non-Namibians or foreigners who seek approval to work temporarily in Namibia for donor-funded projects, multinational companies, as well as Namibian companies under certain conditions. This applies mainly to scarce professional skills. In addition to short-term employment permits, the ministry is also launching the online passport applications. In so doing, we are embracing technology as a catalyst and enabler in order to achieve global best practices, as well as the Namibian government reform initiative, which was adopted some time back by embracing e-governance. We believe that by introducing these measures, we will reduce wasteful costs to our clients, thereby achieving more with less. Thus, having devised and deployed online technology, we will add more services online in order to enable our clients to access some of these services with ease. With escalating and exorbitant cost of IT service providers, we have harnessed and capitalized.
The Institute of Public Policy and Research has again called on the role of the Public Procurement Unit, which is currently a directorate of the Ministry of Finance, to be strengthened, while its director's role be strengthened too to an executive level to ensure lesser corruption with regards to state procurement practices. Gerine Hoff has more.
You cannot have this unit, the head of this unit, at director level, making demands for evidence to executive directors in ministries and CEOs in public entities. Because those officials in those public entities will not see the executive, the head of the PPU at the same level as them. So you can just see how they will not respond to demands for evidence and records and so on, because this is someone who is not at that level, who is demanding information and documents from, and this matters. So the head of this agency needs to be at executive director level. It needs to be at the level of management that is reflective of management structures across the state sector, and should be able then to, at that level, be able to make demands, not through the minister, not through the executive director in the Ministry of Finance. This is not an efficient and effective system to start off with. So this entity needs to be a standalone entity, and the executive director, the head of this entity needs to be at a level of executive management that reflects public service management.
Finally, in commemoration of International Women's Day earlier this month, the University of Namibia Action Research Team and their multi-research services, in collaboration with UNEM Cares, hosted an awareness-raising and community education event which is aimed at empowering the youth. The keynote speaker at the event was the Deputy Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Emma Theophilus. Junior Kapofi was there.
Post-COVID-19, when people can actually congregate and meet and discuss. And as we commemorate the strides that Namibia has made in attaining gender parity, we are cognizant of the fact that a lot of work still needs to be done. That, however, does not mean we can downplay the achievements of the government of the Republic of Namibia in making and achieving gender parity in our communities. Namibia today boasts a female Prime Minister and a Deputy Female Prime Minister, female ministers and deputy ministers such as myself, heads of state-owned institutions that are female, and even female executives in private sector. It might seem like something normal, but in some parts of the world, women cannot even go to school. They're not visible in institutions of academia, of politics, of business, and let alone be prime ministers and ministers or even professors in universities. So for us here in Namibia, having the ability to have a representation, the presence and visibility of women in almost every sector of our economy and our country is a blessing we should not take for granted. We've gathered here today as young people to celebrate International Women's Day under the theme, Cracking the Code, Innovation for Gender Equal Future. But as we all know, the international theme is Digital, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. For me, this theme speaks volumes and highly to my mandate as not only a lawmaker, but as a Deputy Minister of ICT. I would like us to collectively reflect on innovative ways to attain gender equality using the various digital platforms, because I believe it is absolutely possible. Technology is here to accelerate, to improve all processes to ensure that we have a better world. And that better world cannot exist without having gender equality. We all know that gender equality cannot be attained if sexual and gender-based violence, domestic violence, intimate partner violence, and sexual violence continues to be a national concern. Prof. Indongo, the statistics from the World Health Organization in 2022 just recently states that 1 in 3 women experience physical and or sexual violence, and the majority of the perpetrators are intimate partners. This means that women and girls across the world are falling victim to violence, not from strangers most of the time, but from people they know and trust. It is very worrisome. Reports from the Demographic Health Survey produced by the National Statistics Agency in 2013, which is quite outdated data at this point because it is 10 years old and we need more relevant data, also alluded to the extent to which gender-based violence has been normalized in our society. The report refers to attitudes towards partner beating, including justifications for hitting or beating a wife or intimate partner.
Please, put on your safety belt, sir. It's very important for your life.
The seatbelt doesn't make me drive comfortably. Yes, that's better. Please wear your seatbelt. I did not.
We're moving on to our interview segment next. I spoke to Anesh Mora of Chelsea Fashions earlier this week. He says the company is celebrating 40 years later this year. Here we catch up, hear what they've been up to, and to see what they've got planned for October when the company turns 40 years old. Hi viewers, welcome to Chelsea Fashions. I'm talking to Anesh Mora. There's a big year happening this year, Anesh.
That's correct. That's
40
correct,
years.
40 years in the business. Yeah, it's quite a landmark for us.
That is also cause for big celebration.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But now tell us back to your beginnings. Your dad started the business.
That's correct. My mom and my dad, they were definitely a team and started the business back in 1983. And in fact, my dad was the first non-white businessman in the country to get a premises on Independence Avenue.
Oh, wow.
Yes, in 1983.
So that was also where your first outlet was located?
That's correct, that's correct. So they actually had started with, when my dad initially came here, he was managing the cinema, which was in Khomas, which was Oasis 500.
Oh, wow.
And after managing that for a little while, close to the Snyman Circle, where the Langhans Pharmacy currently is, they had a store there, which was then the video store. And they operated there for a while, and my mom started doing a little bit of clothing on the side. You know, she had a small little area in there where she was doing clothing on the side. And that's initially where they started operating. And by chance, a friend of my dad had come up from South Africa and had brought a whole few rolls of fabric and tried to get into the market here and tried to sell it. And he didn't come right at all. So he said, look, I've got the stuff here, can I please just leave it with you? And then I'll come back in a few months and try again. 100%. So when my dad came back, when my dad's friend came back, Dad had told him, listen, we got a problem, all your fabric is gone.
Goodness.
Guy's eyes went big like this and he said, but here's the money, send some more please.
So first freaked him out a little bit.
Yes, obviously, you know, you got to get the juices flowing. And yeah, from there, you know, it moved on, and then they looked for another premises just to purely do the fabric, and they got a space, 103 Independence Avenue, and that's where we started out. You know, we had our cots in the back there. I grew up in the store, you know, in amongst the fabric, as my kids are doing today.
Yes.
And yeah, slowly it grew. You know, they got the space next door and the space next door, and it
just expanded.
Slowly expanded, yes. Yeah, slowly into the fabric game of what we are now.
And now you're in Hypermotor City.
Now we've moved to Hypermotor City, that's correct.
And of course you've got much more space and you've got lots more projects, and we'll have a look at that just now.
And parking.
And parking. And then you told me just now that you were also working on a new range of blinds.
That's correct, that's correct. We've just I've just been down to go and see some new suppliers and expanding the range of what we do. So we'll bring in some of our own range of blinds. We're expanding into a bit more of the back-end accessories in your upholsteries. So, you know, everything that is part of our market where we can help. You know, these things don't just pop out of our own. It comes from interest from our clientele and the needs that they want, and we see where we can help them and how we can help them for their own businesses.
And you also mentioned just now
Yes.
behind the scenes when we were talking that there are suppliers in South Africa that you've literally been working with for 40 years as well. So it's
That's correct.
also been generational there.
That's correct. It's you know, we've basically become family, and that, you know, we very funny went down, you know, and there as well. My parents used to do business with their parents, and they've taken over, and now it's the next generation, you know. So we still get along as well. We've got great relationships with them, and 90% of business is about relationships.
That's the
So
truth.
we're very fortunate to have that.
So this is a complete random question. If you
Yes.
had to hazard how much stock you've got in terms of meters in this shop, or am I putting you on the spot?
Oh, you're definitely putting me on the spot. In terms of meters, I mean, if you see my face, the faces of my staff when I say stock taking, that should say it all.
Yes,
That should say it all, because we have a running system where we
Okay.
constantly remeasuring. We do section by section, and we definitely will be in the few. It's in the millions of meters.
Okay, now business-wise, in terms of trends, what would you say is upcoming and what's next?
Well, coming out of this economic slump that we have, we definitely feel there's a definite uptick within business. All events and that were on hold, people now have the confidence to re-look at that and do that. So business in that sense has definitely picked up. The trend's definitely at the moment towards curtaining and upholstery. So in terms of people fixing up their homes, and that there's definitely an uptick within that.
And weddings?
Weddings, definitely.
Okay.
Weddings was always something, and obviously with events not being able to happen, and since last year we've noticed people definitely have the gumption to get married.
Why do you say that with that look on your face? But
it was always a worry. We've had clients here that have postponed
yes.
up to 7-8 times.
Oh, I saw it with the bridal competition as well.
Absolutely. So
it
it's been a little thing. In not only just weddings, all sorts of events, where I think the fear of that has now dissipated, and we see that picking up. We also work with a lot of events coordinators and that as well, and we have neighbors as well that do that. So it's very fortunate, and it's good to see that there's life coming back to their businesses and that as well. Because at the end of the day, it's a symbiosis.
Anesh, we're in the manufacturing section here. Please tell us what you do here.
So our manufacturing department, which is part of our decor side, Chelsea Decor, we manufacture anything from mostly curtaining. We do roller blinds, anything that you can think of where fabric is involved. We help manufacture from cushion covers, car seats, you name it. People come to us with strange little projects, and we do our utmost, and 99.9% of the time we can assist. So that's the exciting part here. We have our general things that we usually do, i.e. the curtains, cushion covers, and then we've got strange little projects that pop up here and there. Someone wants a special flag, or they want something designed to cover a specific part of their house, something we've never done before. So it keeps it fresh and interesting for everybody around here.
And then, of course, you also do training, and you have the pad project.
Well, we initially launched with the pad project. In fact, my wife is led that side of the project, and we worked with a few of the NGOs around here to assist them in training, where they've taken some people and given them the skills to be able to do this and start their own businesses with that. And we assist a lot of the VTCs and NGOs in whatever training it is that they need, and also, of course, also as a partner, and we supply fabrics at obviously a much better cost, which is also as our social responsibility. So we're very much involved in the communities as much as we can, you know, to further develop the skill and, shall I say, the art of sewing. The ladies that are here currently are very good at what they do, and although I understand everything behind a sewing machine, they far outdo me on their skills, and it definitely is an art form when you see how they do it and what they're doing, you know. And this is what we've picked up, is that a lot of the older generation have got the skills, and we're trying to reinvigorate that transfer of skills to the younger generation. We're always looking for opportunities, and we love the position of manufacturing local made. You know, instead of relying on somewhere elsewhere, we love the idea of keeping capital within our economy and not sending it out of the country. So that definitely for us is a big focus on Namibian. Keep it Namibian, grow our economy internally. It's always been a very big focus of ours within that, within this as a 100% Namibian owned company.
That's it for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you again next week when my colleague Enzo Amwele will be bringing news from the far north. In the meantime, take care and enjoy the rest of your Independence Day.